President Ronald Reagan had a deep fascination with UFOs and alien life. Today, we will explore that fascination. This is Archives of the Anomalous.
I couldn't help at one point in my discussions privately with General Secretary Gorbachev, when you stop to think that we're all God's children wherever we may live in the world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe. We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together. Well, I don't suppose we can wait for some alien race to come down and threaten us, but I think that between us we can bring about that realization.
On September 19th, 1974, Ronald Reagan would experience something that would change his life forever. Then, California Governor Reagan, his security detail, and pilot Bill Painter boarded an airplane destined for a fundraising event. After ascending to around 35,000 feet, approaching Bakersfield, California, Reagan and the crew were amazed to see a genuine UFO. Reagan asked the pilot to follow the mysterious object for a period of time. Painter, who was an Air Force colonel, had seen many things in the sky, but nothing like this. It appeared to be several hundred yards away. It was a fairly steady light until it began to accelerate. Then it appeared to elongate. Then the light took off. It went up at a 45-degree angle at a high rate of speed. Everyone on the plane was surprised. The UFO went from a normal cruise speed to a fantastic speed instantly. If you give an airplane power, it will accelerate, but not like a hot rod. And that's what this was like. A short time after the incident, Reagan recounted the incident to Norman C. Miller, then Washington bureau chief for the Wall Street Journal. Reagan told Miller, "We followed it for several minutes. It was a bright white light. We followed it to Bakersfield, and all of a sudden, to our utter amazement, it went straight up into the heavens." Although Reagan rarely spoke of these events, especially after he became president, it did not stop him from alluding to the possibility of alien visitation.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
Another breadcrumb he left behind was in 1982, during a personal White House screening of the movie E.T. by Steven Spielberg.
I was there.
You were there? Okay, so is it... The story that I heard was that when Reagan saw it, he started talking about how close to reality it was, and he was quickly ushered out of the room. Is that true?
No, he wasn't ushered out of the room. He was the President of the United States. Nobody could usher Ronald Reagan out of the room. It was in the White House screening room.
Yeah.
And Reagan got up to thank me for bringing the film to show to show the President, the First Lady, and all of their guests, which included Sandra Day O'Connor in her first week as a justice in the Supreme Court, and it included some astronauts. I think Neil Armstrong was there. I'm not 100% certain, but it was an amazing evening, and he just stood up and he looked around the room almost like he was doing a head count, and he said, "I want to thank you for bringing E.T. to the White House. We really enjoyed your movie." And then he looked around the room and he said, "And there are a number of people in this room who know that everything on that screen is absolutely true." And he said it without smiling. But he said that, and everybody laughed. By the way, the whole room laughed because he presented it like a joke, but he wasn't smiling as he said it.
Yeah.
The room did laugh, and then later on, I'll never forget my conversation with the president. He pulled me aside. He said, and I can't do Reagan, but I wish I could do that breathy, wonderful voice of his.
Yeah.
And Nancy Reagan was standing right next to him, and the president said to me, "There's only one. I only have one criticism about your movie." And I said, "What's that?" He said, "How long were the end credits?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know, maybe 3.5 minutes." He said, "In my day, when I was an actor, our end credits were maybe 15 seconds long." He said, "Why don't you let everybody get a credit, 3.5, 4 minutes, that's fine, but only show that inside the industry. But throughout the rest of the country, reduce your credits to 15 seconds at the end." And Nancy Reagan turned to him and said, "Oh, Ronnie, they can't do that. You know that." And he went, "Oh, yes, I suppose."
That's awesome.
That was the extent of my conversation about that. That was the only criticism. He felt the end credits were too long.
President Reagan has long passed, and his real thoughts and feelings towards the UFO phenomenon with it. But what is evident is that Reagan's fascination with UFOs and aliens persisted all throughout his presidency.
I keep, in my frustration sometimes, actually, if you count some of the things going on in smaller countries and all, there have been about 114 wars since World War II. But I've often wondered, what if all of us in the world discovered that we were threatened by a power from outer space, from another planet? Wouldn't we all of a sudden find that we didn't have any differences between us at all? We were all human beings, citizens of the world, and wouldn't we come together to fight that particular threat?